So the theme of our festival this year, the 2014 edition, is People Live Here 20 years into our democracy. This Film and Arts Festival for us is not just an event. For us it's a continuation of the search for a just and an equitable society.
It's been a singular pleasure to be reacquainted with PACSA, who I worked with, and PACSA I found to be perhaps the most important organization that I worked with in the 80s in this region, because they were networked and hotwired into the communities that I wanted to work with, and Joan and Peter Kirchhoff were welcoming, accommodating, facilitating people who made a lot of the photographs that I did in that period possible.
And thinking about some of the images that Cedric has created over the years, my entire professional life I've worked only in words, whether it's on the radio or writing for the Daily Maverick website. And so that's how I sort of view the world. I interact with the world in words. But then if you look at Cedric's images, the evocative portraits really that have been created, I'm reminded sometimes of how words are utterly useless. There are some things that words simply cannot convey. How can you explain women standing on a beach next to two crosses that mark graves and explain what's happened there? You simply can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. How can you look at a young couple that have clearly just got married standing next to a cemetery? How can you even explain what happened there? And I think if you look at images, and I think we all have certain images we carry in our minds of what South Africa was like before the technical end of apartheid, and they're still incredibly powerful. We still carry them with us, I think, in many ways. There's an image that Cedric has produced that features a young man in a church. He has his arms up, gesticulating, and he's wearing a t-shirt, and he's standing between two coffins, and on either side of him are two banners, and they simply say, "Stop the killings." And when I saw this image for the first time, I thought, that is still where we are now. I think that as South Africans is something we're all still saying. We're all that young man standing like this, saying, "Stop the killings." Why are the voices now not as well defined and as well heard as they were during the struggle? And I'm a little young to sort of have felt that at all. But I think the short answer must be that the fight against apartheid had the virtue of clarity. You know, Cedric and I would obviously both be on the same side of that, but he will probably be slightly shocked to hear that I am pretty much a capitalist, and he and I might disagree on that, for example, and that makes it much harder. The unity isn't there. You know, most of the sort of great historical figures that we view positively have had great historical enemies. So Nelson Mandela had apartheid, Winston Churchill had Hitler. Now it's very difficult to know who we're fighting against, if we're fighting against anyone, because it shouldn't really be a fight.
It is a much more murkier situation. We are in disarray, actually. We had the wind taken out of our sails. So for a lot of us, we believed that we were in freedom, as has been spoken about here earlier. So there was no need to organize until the youth took to the streets. As always, the youth took to the streets. This country excels in so many things. Capitalism is not one of them, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say. The number of protests that have taken place in this country are by far the highest in the world, just as the number of rapes and the number of murders. So we're a country that is in dire straits. We're in a serious situation, and for a lot of us, we still have an illusion of that we're in a good place.
We came together, Mpilo and myself, and we helped the children make comic books, was the craft-based part of it. And then we had two presentations. One was on the basics of comic book structure, and then the other one was how democracy functions, and dealt with what is the ideal version of democracy.
She asked us to do the story, and then about any rights that you think of. And we were in a group of 3. So we did that right that says everyone has the right to vote. And then we did that rights, and then it was perfect. Yeah, we did really good.
So this is my first time I've attended a film festival in South Africa. I've been told that there's quite factual films based on real events, with themes that make you reflect on current political issues and the hearts and minds of a lot of people in South Africa. So I'm hoping to just really, for it to be an educational experience.
I think with this year it's critical that there are a lot of people in the rural areas without food. Problem is that the income is at a low level versus people who are in the urban areas and earning a high salary. And people out there are really battling to put food on the table. So it's important, and I think it's good that PACSA has identified a challenge and has thrown that out now to the public and to the economy to say, listen, that we are in a crisis.
The life of a black person in Africa is so cheap. Asifuni gazi elizophalala, kodwa sifuna izinkinga zenu nemivuzo yenu bayitholakale, comrade.
Whatever happened represents the best of responsible policy.
If you watch this movie, it's one of the practical examples that how can politicians utilize state machinery to protect their interests. It's what I've learned.
Quite upset actually. Like, I knew about the story, but obviously I didn't know the details of it, and I don't know, for me it's just really heartbreaking that, after so many years in a democratic country, that we still have people being treated so savagely. Like, I think it's disgusting.
So I was thinking that we can do like a mini documentary, right? Every one of you can choose your own subject. You can do a documentary about the PACSA Film Festival, if you want, behind the scenes, how people are getting stressed and losing their cool, if they are. You could do, you could interview the gate guards, you can interview the car guards, you could interview people at random, you could talk about any subject, you could start a war, you could do something, right?
poetry and the spoken word are a very powerful medium to let us see in our mind what is happening in our world and what our world can be. And so the poets are very wise people. They look, but they see more in things than the ordinary person like me see in them. Because when they look, they can see deeply. And as they see deeply, they can express that to others. And we are also allowed to see reality through their eyes, listening to their words. And so that's why this session is such an important session as part of our festival.
Flood of tears now above my head, please let me go.
In poets, you and I can teach Oscar how to love without a gun. We will teach politicians how to be true to their words. We will teach Jack and Rose that the sinking of a Titanic does not mean the end of a relationship. For some ships sail beyond the horizon to the grave. Poet
abangikhweza bathi ngusam danger, owangiqamba wathi nguflowetry, owangibhabhadisa wathi mina nguntwenhle, kanti bonke ababuzanga elangeni ngoba wangidala wathi mina ngumbongi, umhayiwazi inkondlo, nyamazo mahlanganisa amagama azahlangana umhluzi wendaba uqobo lwakhe sengisho macaphuna kusale.
I drop nursery rhymes on injured souls, riddles and mimes on funny bones, ha ha ha. I get the last laugh out of control. I'm fooling around like Looney Tunes on steroids. You crack me up, that's why I'm fiending for yo. Correct my dose and pass it, break me out of rehab.
Hey, and we struggle on. Hey, 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 struggles. Hey, life can always be better than what it looks like. Equipped with a plan, you could be headed for the good life. I got the mic in hand, forever ready for a good fight. Tunnel vision, breath heavy, keep it steady to the new light. Waking up to try again is hard. Living in a shack that you call home. Every day you walk into your job, even with a chance of getting robbed, you were tested to be strong.